Hi, today I want to talk about something sort of near and dear to my heart, which is a very special planet. Some people now call it a dwarf planet. Some people think it isn't even a planet anymore, but it is the planet known as Pluto. Pluto takes its roots from the ancient god Hades, the god of the underworld. And for anyone who has experienced any sort of a Pluto transit, meaning anytime Pluto hits any of your personal planets like the Sun, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, or Mars, or hits one of your angles or cross of incarnation, these are really powerful periods of transformation in your life in which the ways in which you look at your life from the beginning of the process is going to be very different from the way it's going to look at the end of the process. The closest, easiest metaphor to this is how a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and then becomes a butterfly. There is such a level of transformation and change that occurs on so many cellular levels and so many personal, emotional, psychological, spiritual levels that one does not even recognize how you could have been who you were before. One of the ways that I like to talk about Pluto is it has to deal with our attachments to things. And so the more that we are attached to something, the more we're going to hold on to it and the more we are going to lose. Pluto represents a sort of a radioactive material. In fact, when it was discovered back in the 1930s is when we started working with plutonium and radium, and a lot of those radioactive are actually in some ways spiritually or highly evolved building blocks of the universe that act in a whole different way than anything else. And so when you think about the things that we're attached to, it's like we're holding on to something. And so if you think of Pluto as being, or that thing that you're attached to as being a ball that you're holding on to with your hands, you're first going to lose your fingers to the radioactivity. And then you're going to think, oh, do I still want this? Yes, I still want this. So then what are you going to lose? You're going to lose your hands from holding on to it. And if depending on, this is where it kind of comes into where depending on kind of your level of stubbornness or your level of attachment, you begin to hold on to it in such a way that you begin to lose more of yourself until something wakes up in you and says, I do not want this ball anymore. And that ball represents whatever it is you're holding on to in life, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation, whether it's work, whether it's your viewpoints on life in a certain way. Whatever that is, whatever you hold most dear, you are going to lose, because after the fact what you're going to find is while you thought what you were holding was most dear to you, it really wasn't for your highest good. So when we look back on our lives and our relationships that we have, sometimes we see that in the beginning we were all wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and so excited for the relationship, and then after a while we realize it might not really be good for us. And when we lose a relationship, well, we might be in a lot of pain or just not knowing what we need to do with ourselves. What we do find is when we look back on our life, we realize that it was actually for our better, our highest good, so to speak, that we did move on to something different. Sometimes this has to deal with leaving our family, separating ourselves from our parents or our siblings or from friends that we've known for decades. We just move into a new phase of life that doesn't really work in the old ways it used to. And so the people around us really might not be supportive of the way we are becoming. And this is a really good indicator about who you have in your life and their acceptance levels, because the truth is that people who really love and accept you are going to love and accept you when you go through challenging times. If they're going to leave you because you're going through a hard time or things that aren't working out really well, then probably this is a person who really wasn't really there for you in the long haul anyway. The key word I like to use with Pluto is surrender. There's something about getting on your knees, and what I've even done when I've had Pluto transits, I've gotten on my knees naked and I just raise my hands up to the sky and I say, I surrender. Everything I have, everything I am, I surrender, because it's not about me anyway. There are these things that in life that are much larger than us, and these outer planets, when we talk about Chiron, Uranus, Neptune, all the other asteroids, and Pluto, of course, that these are periods in which we are making a relationship with something that is transcendental, something that is far out from what our simple little personality ego can grasp. And if there's one thing I can say about the Pluto process, it's just that. It really basically cracks whatever shell we've been in for a long time and allows us to see that there is much more to life than just the ways we've been doing things. My name is Michael Bartlett, Master Metaphysical Astrologer, and my point with these videos is to share astrological wisdom and knowledge with you in such a way so that you are able to understand just the powerful ways in which astrology can guide us in our lives. For those of you who don't believe in astrology, and maybe I should have just said this in the beginning, but for someone to think that there's a little planet or a little heavenly body way out there in distant space that is affecting us, and how can that be? I can just say there are countless times where I have worked with clients and have been able to share with them that what the processes they're going through is something that is of a deep and sometimes dark process. We have to go through the dark night of the soul, in a sense, when we get to Pluto, but it is actually through that we find our own strength and our power. So my goal here is to really help people empower and to understand that you will survive the process. As my teacher, Tom Brady, not the football star, the astrologer in Santa Fe, New Mexico, would say that when you have Pluto transits, it's really important to realize that it's while you really want to kill yourself, while you really want to let go and not be here anymore, Pluto isn't going to allow that. You have to make it through. The only way is through. So you find ways. And usually what it is, it has to deal with some sort of letting go of your ego and your attachments to things. I hope you find this helpful, as well as my other videos. Please like, please share with your friends, and be compassionate and loving with yourself, because it's not easy being human, especially when you don't have the gift of astrology to help you understand what the heck's going on. Have a great day and take care. Thank you.